I'm Shaun Tait and I come from Adelaide, Australia. I grew up in the Adelaide Hills, so I had plenty of space on a small little farm. So just with my brother and my dad in the backyard. Typical sort of Australian story, I suppose. Started with playing backyard cricket and then just went and played for my local club professional match.
Yes.
I played for South Australia. My cap was presented to me by Greg Chappell, who was the coach at the time. I think I was 19 years of age. And our first game was against Western Australia, where Justin Langer was playing, and he got 160. And from memory, we spent a lot of time in the field that match. I managed to get a few wickets, and it was an okay game, but we lost. There was a tour of Sri Lanka in 2004 with the Australian side. Brett Lee, I think, got injured. I got the phone call from Trevor Hones, who was chairman of selectors at that time. And yeah, I mean, to fly to Sri Lanka and join the team and see guys like Warne, Ponting, and Gilchrist and all these legendary players that I had posters on my wall of was a very surreal experience. I'll never forget that when I first got to Kandy in Sri Lanka and saw all these guys. Alan Border was a selector, so I spent some time with him. A very surreal experience, but a very lucky experience to have started my cricket career with a group of players that will go down in history as maybe some of the best ever. Yeah, I mean, first test match at Trent Bridge in maybe the greatest test series of all time, arguably. And again, just a surreal experience. I did okay with the ball in the first innings, took a few wickets. So a lot of it's a blur. My first test match was a big blur, to be honest. I remember little bits and pieces of that test, but not the whole thing, because I think I was 22 at the time, so it's quite a big thing. But yeah, it'll go down as a great experience. It was the 2007 World Cup, getting a chance to play every game for Australia. We went through the tournament undefeated. I think it's very rare in cricket, and every now and then you get a special group or a special tour or a team where the environment is I wouldn't say perfect, but very good. Off the field, our environment was fantastic. On the field, at training, a great attitude and a great team environment or culture, whatever you call it. And that was in 2007, I felt, and the balance of our team was perfect. If you look at the bowling attack, Brett was injured, I came in for him, so I had the pace. McGrath was McGrath. We had Nathan Brackett, left arm bowler with good change-ups. And Brad Hogg as a spin bowler was the main part of the attack in that series, and it was a great balanced bowling attack. May not look like the best of all time, but it certainly, as a balance, was near on perfect for a one-day cricket team. So just to have the feeling of the whole tournament to go through and not even feel like we were going to be beaten is a very rare and special thing to have in cricket. It doesn't come around that often.
But you have played with
Lucky enough in my short career for Australia, I got a chance to play with so many great players, and become friends with these guys. Great one-day players like Andrew Simons, obviously Ricky Ponting, a great captain, a great player. Gilchrist, Hayden, I mean the list goes on. McGrath, obviously, I played in his last ever game for Australia. So I think the one that the most people would question about what was it like being in the dressing room with him was probably Shane Warne. One of the biggest names, if not the biggest name in cricket. So I think sharing a dressing room with him, I played with him in the IPL when he was captain at Rajasthan Royals, and just seeing his insight into the game as well and being around that, and at times how simple he kept things, was a great experience.
Yeah, but in 2021, 2011, but your experience was completely different. You didn't do well in that World Cup. So tell me about that. Yeah,
2011 World Cup in India. Again, if I think about my role in a bowling attack, we had myself, Johnson, Lee. We just could have done with a bit of extra help from our spinners in that tournament. I don't think our spinners did that well. And a lot of pressure was sort of, I suppose, put on the fast bowlers to perform. And obviously still had great, Ponting captain and Michael Clark and these guys. Still had some really great players. But again, I'll talk about environment from 2007 and our culture and the team. then compared to 2011, it was so different. I remember that quarter-final against India, I just had this feeling, sometimes you can't help that it wasn't going to go well for us. India seemed to be on a bit of a charge. Things seemed to be going well for the Indian team. They were becoming a great one-day cricket team. And I felt like the Australian side was sort of slowly going the other way. And I could feel that in the group. So it didn't really surprise me that we didn't go further than the quarter-final. Fastest balls and all that stuff, you talk to someone like Jeff Thompson, he says he bowled the fastest ball of all time. He probably did. From all reports, he was the fastest. And I've seen Shoaib up close. I've seen how fast he is, how consistently fast he was. Brett Lee, I played with Brett Lee. There's guys that played for the West Indies, Andy Roberts, these guys. Shoaib was clocked to the fastest of all time. And mine was second, I think, along with Brett, somewhere along the line there. So that's what it is, I suppose. I don't look into it too much. If you ask Shoaib if there was a time he bowled faster, he would probably say, yeah, there was a practice game that he bowled 165 that he thinks, and there was certainly a game that I played in at the Wacker against New Zealand where I felt that was maybe the quickest I'd ever bowled, which was never recorded. But every express fast bowler has one of these stories. At the end of the day, it was good to be part of a group or part of a conversation as one of the fastest bowlers. I suppose through my career, I was one of those players that could change a game in an over, but it could also change the game in the over the other way. Whereas if I leaked 4 or 5 boundaries, the game could go. But if I took 2 wickets in the over, it could change the game, for my team. So I liked being one of those players that was entertaining either way, whichever way it happened. For your team or the opposition, I hoped that it was good to watch for the crowd, and that's all I ever wanted to do. I suppose is be an entertaining bowler. But what comes with that is obviously injuries, pushing your body to the limits all the time, and obviously a higher economy rate than sometimes you might like. But that's just the sort of player I was. I suppose there was times in my career where I probably could have pulled it back a bit and maybe concentrated a bit more on the exact line and length, but was just not standing up to the rigours of longer form cricket. And I really enjoyed myself, to be honest, playing around the world, meeting different people, as opposed to staying in one team for my whole career type thing and not getting the chance to be in all these different countries. I would never trade that in for anything. So, but sometimes you look back in your career and say, I could have done this and it could have been this way. But I look at my career and I'm happy with it. It's okay. That's the way it was. And I think I remember things like the great cricket grounds I played in, the great hotels I stayed in, the great countries I've been in, and the friends I made, rather than statistics and wickets and stuff like that. Yeah, I wasn't surprised. I was surprised originally getting, I think it was 5 years in between playing for Australia and then getting called up again. And funny enough, I used to sometimes dream at night when I was sleeping that I got a phone call from the Australian selectors and I was, to play again, which was completely ridiculous, to be honest, because I basically finished my career for Australia. I think I had a good season with Hobart Hurricanes. There was a few injuries in the Australian team, so I got the call up again, and it was really surreal. But I didn't go well. I got hit around the park by the Indians. I think we all did actually in that series, and that was the end of it. So, but to be called up again 5-6 years later after finishing was actually a really nice thing. It would have been nice if it went a bit better, but that's the way it goes.
I know, there are a lot of players who are scared of you, but there's not people like you, but you found them that really
obviously when I played first class cricket in Australia, there were some batsmen that were extremely difficult to bowl to. Guys like Matthew Elliott, Brad Hodge, Michael Bevan, Michael Divenuto, great Australian names that were difficult to bowl to. But as far as international cricket goes, Kevin Peterson was tough to bowl to. A very good player. Brendan McCullum I had great contests with. Sometimes I would get him out, and sometimes he would hit me all over the park. So he was a great competitor for me to bowl against. I suppose guys like A.B. de Villiers and Virat Kohli. So I went in the 2010 IPL. Our first match was in Mumbai, and after the game, and throughout that IPL, after the game they would have fashion parades. and you know, the local designer would showcase some of their clothing. The players would attend, and we'd sort of socialise with people. And I met Mushroom, and at that time after the first match in Mumbai, she was born and bred in Mumbai, and over a period of time we got to know each other and ended up getting married eventually after quite a few years. But yeah, so it was actually quite a nice story, and obviously I spend a lot of time in Mumbai now. We have a daughter as well. So it's been a great connection. I think probably the thing I'm most proud of in my life actually is my connection with India, and been able to spend some time there, and I've made some great friends. We got married there in Mumbai as well, and to make some great friends in not only cricket but outside of cricket in that city, in the country, has been a great experience. And I suppose it all started with the Rajasthan Royals, so I've got them to thank. So this is my second time to Bangladesh. The first time I really enjoyed it with the Chattogram Kings. Had some great teammates, made some great friends. A couple of them are still on this team now. So Enam and Naeem, who I played with back in 2013. So that's the great thing about cricket as well, is playing back 9 years ago now with a couple of guys, and then coming back to coach, and they're still playing in the team. So that's a nice reunion, and that's the great thing about cricket, making friends all around the world. So very lucky and privileged to do that. So coming back to Bangladesh, I was really excited to come back because it had been a long time. And although we're sort of pretty much restricted to the hotels right now, it'd be nice to come back again in years to come and actually get out of the hotel and experience more of Bangladesh.